Hi guys and welcome. So it's finally here. What's that, I hear you say? It is a Microbrand watch that I'm going to be reviewing that I did make mention of when I reviewed the Komodo in the other video, if you remember seeing that. This has come from Montreal, Canada. The customs field sticker that you see there is common if you're in the UK and you're having a delivery of goods from the US or Canada. The odds are you will pay customs duty on that. It's very rare anything slips through. Customs duty on this was just under £20 UK, which is something you kind of need to factor in when you're ordering goods from the US and Canada particularly. So do bear that in mind. This came in this bubble wrap envelope, and opening the envelope inside we have this cardboard sleeve with a cardboard box inside. I'll slide that out. The box has a nice kind of velvety type cover on, and it's a pop top box with the Helgray logo embossed on the top. This slides open like so. Inside you have a thank you for your purchase card. Nad and the Helgray crew. Nad Helgray is the founder of the Kickstarter campaign for Helgray watches, and they are based in Montreal, Canada. So you've got a thank you card. I'm confident you're going to love your Helgray. A couple of bits in there, and an international warranty card. Your Helgray watch is covered by a 12-month limited international warranty effective from the date of purchase, etc., etc. Just recently, having seen this particular watch, the Vigilante, I knew I really liked this. I decided to back the campaign. I was confident the campaign was going to be fine. It was going to be a successful one because there'd already been several other successful campaigns. It was the first Kickstarter I'd backed, and although at one point I thought the updates were a little few and far between, that was obviously just a period where there wasn't a great deal happening. But as soon as things started happening at the factory, the updates were coming in fairly thick and fast, and we were kept up to date as to what was going on. So inside the box you've got a thick padded section with a cutout in the shape of the watch, and another thin foam section at the bottom there. I would have liked to have seen something a little bit sturdier, to be honest. Although this arrived in good condition, this kind of box, it would have been quite easy for the postal system to squash this or damage it. And I'm a little disappointed, having watched an unboxing of a couple of the Helgray bombers, seeing that they came in a nice little zip pouch with foam packaging. I was kind of hoping this would be the same, although nothing on the Kickstarter campaign said it would. So it's no fault of the campaign or anything like that. It's not lacking in any way. I just kind of hoped that it would. Inside here, anyway, we have the watch inside a plastic sleeve, which I will get out of the way so I'm not rattling and making annoying noises as much as possible. And then we have the watch itself. One other little slight grumble, if you like, that I'm going to make before we dive in and have a good look at the watch, and I tell you all about it, is one thing very noticeable by its absence is a user manual for the watch, which I would have liked to have seen in paper format. It's something, for anybody who collects watches and buys new watches, it's something you kind of expect. You expect your case with the watch holder made out of whatever material it is, with the packaging inside, the padding inside, the guarantee material, and the user manual to tell you how to operate the watch, even if you know how to do so. However, that said, having checked on the Helgray website, there is a section titled User Manuals. I don't know if you can see that on there. And I thought, oh great, that's good. And I had a look on there. At this moment in time, this watch of course is just brand new, just shipped, but there isn't a user manual at this moment in time for either the quartz or the automatic movement version of the Vigilante, although there are user manuals for pretty much all of the previous watches up to and including the Helgray bomber. I'm sure that will pop up onto there as soon as it becomes available. What I'm going to do now is scoot in close so we can have a good look at the watch in detail. Here's the Vigilante out of its box, and you can see that this is the all stainless steel version. It's made of 316L stainless steel with solid links on the bracelet. Feels nice and sturdy. I have yet to take the wrapping off the bracelet, so we'll see if there's any sort of slop or play in that when I do so. It's still got all the stickers and what have you on there just now, and but just going over the basics of it. It's 316L stainless steel. It has double domed sapphire crystal, what appears to be a ceramic bezel by the look of it. It didn't actually make mention of that, but that looks like a ceramic bezel. And this is the quartz movement variant, which I chose for a couple of reasons, one of which being the additional functionality in that this is a quad time zone GMT watch, and also has a chronograph, as you can see just there. This chronograph has a sub-dial which counts up to 60 minutes. You've got a small seconds at 6 o'clock and a 24-hour display up at the 12 o'clock there, showing you whether it's AM or PM. In addition to that, there's also a GMT hand, which you cannot see at the moment because it's hidden behind the hour hand. I will show you that in a moment once we've taken all the stickers off and I show you through the functionality of the watch. One other thing to mention is this is physically quite a large watch, and just to give you a bit of an idea, what you would consider a standard sort of dress watch is the Seiko 5 on my wrist that I just recently did the servicing video on, or just uploaded part 1 of the servicing video on. And if I pop that there, just focus on that for you, you can see the physical size difference. This is a 45mm case. It's important to some people. Doesn't particularly bother me. I don't mind large, small or otherwise watches. I do have skinny wrists, but it doesn't interest me in whether it has a large watch or a small watch on, but some people I do know it is relevant to. So there you go, that's 45mm case, as mentioned, 316L stainless, double domed sapphire crystal, quad time zone, GMT function with a chronograph as well. So here's the bit for all you oddballs out there. I know there are some of you out there that like this. If I can actually get this off. Here we go. So here's the watch with the plastic removed from the front, the rear, the bracelet and what have you. And here is the incredibly generously sized bracelet with it's a straightforward, simple to adjust push pin type fitting for the bracelet links, which is a good job because unless you have the world's most enormous wrists, you will need to adjust this. You could not accuse them of skimping whatsoever on the bracelet length on this. They are solid stainless steel links and they're huge. This is a tumbler that I use for covering watch movements in between the procedure for working on them. If I have to do some work on a separate component, I cover the movement while I work on it with this glass tumbler. So just to give you an idea of how large that is and how much extra links you get on this bracelet. The thing is huge, and that's with the clasp closed. I can slip that, as you can see, over my wrist, straight over my hand there. Enormous. So very generous bracelet size there, and very nicely built, very solid oyster style bracelet links with nice beveled edges that you can see there. I think it's a really pretty bracelet. It's very nice. Brushed stainless finish, which is nice because I'm not a huge fan of polished stainless bracelets, I've got to be honest. I know that's personal preference, but I'm not a huge fan of polished stainless, so I like this very, very much indeed, with the little beveled edges giving the inner links a sort of pillow-shaped appearance. And the brush finish continues on the side links, as well as the side and up portions of the case as well. You've got a nicely patterned case back, which I'll show you in better detail in a moment. and I'm just going to go ahead and adjust this bracelet for myself. While I've got the bracelet open, just before I reconnect this one, I thought this would be a good time to show you the case back and the patterning there. There was a survey and question during the creation or finalising of the production where people were asked whether solid or exhibition casebacks were required. Now, for a nicely finished mechanical movement, an exhibition caseback can be nice, but for a quartz movement, I think they're such a waste of time, because there is, in my opinion, as somebody who has messed about with watches for a long time, there is no such thing as a nice quartz movement. They are utilitarian and they do what they do, but there's nothing pretty particularly to look at. As you can see there, we have a solid stainless steel case back with a beautifully etched Helgray logo in the center portion, a nice brushed finish to match the rest of the case and bracelet, Helgray Vigilante Quartz limited edition, and a reference number. Here's a shot of the Vigilante on my wrist, and for all of its 45mm case size, I have to say that sitting on my skinny wrist doesn't actually look overly huge, I don't think. I'm really pleased with how that looks, and I have had to remove all of the removable links, which is not uncommon when I buy a watch with a stainless strap. It's more uncommon that I have to leave a link or two in. It does occasionally happen, but mostly I'm removing all of the removable links, as in this case. I like it to have a little bit of movement on my wrist, because when it gets particularly hot, your wrists do swell. I don't like a tight fitting watch that feels clamped to you. So it's got a deployment clasp. I know this is a bone of contention with some people. Deployment. It's a silly argument. There are more important things to worry about, but it has your typical deployment clasp with a keeper there that you flip up, 2 push buttons either side that you bring down like so, and then that allows you to slip the bracelet on or off. So onto the watch and the features of the watch. I mentioned earlier that this is a quad time zone watch. Now this is the quartz version, and it uses a Miyota FS16 quartz movement. The mechanical version of this uses the Miyota 8219 movement. I've now moved the hour hand forward to reveal the second hour hand, the GMT hand behind it there. And the mechanical movement is a dual time zone, and it can show the time in 2 time zones. The quartz one is a quad time zone, which means it can reflect the time in 4 different time zones. And to change the hour hand, what you do is you unscrew the screw down crown over here, pull it out to the first position, and you rotate that counterclockwise, and this moves the main hour hand forward in 1 hour increments, as you can see there. So let's just assume for a moment it is coming up to 11:30 here in the UK. You've flown to a country where it is 6:30 in the morning, so you turn this hand around until it reflects 6:30 on your main hour hand. This one reflects your home country, so the UK at 11:30. You then need to know the time in Hong Kong, which happens to be 2:30 AM, so you would rotate the inner bezel by means of this crown at the 10 o'clock position until the 2 points at the main hour hand or the GMT hand, whichever you prefer to read from, like so. So you know that that's the time in Hong Kong, and then you also need to know the time somewhere else, so you rotate the outer ceramic bezel until the appropriate time, such as 12 here, for example, points at the hour hand. So you've now got the time reading in 4 different time zones, and that's how you use that. The inner bezel is a little bit slack, and I feel personally that that could do with a bit more tension. For somebody who would wear the watch on their right wrist, I think it would be quite easy to knock this crown and actually knock that out of alignment relatively easily. For a left wrist wearer, it wouldn't be so likely to happen, but something to bear in mind. The bezel, as I mentioned before, appears to be a ceramic bezel with a very smooth ratcheting action. It's a unidirectional bezel, like a true diver's watch. Very smooth clicks, and I don't know if that's actually audible here, but despite not looking particularly grippy, it is easy to grip and to move, and very precise. Going back to the crown on the right hand side, this is also how you set the date and the time. To set the date, it's pulled out to the first position, exactly the same one that you used to set the GMT hand, like so. But to set the date, you rotate it in the opposite direction, the clockwise direction, and hopefully you can see the date changing in the little date window at 3 o'clock there. And we need to change that back to the 27th, which is where we are at currently. Actually, I'm just going to leave that on the 26th and then pull that out to the hand setting position. To set the hands, you rotate the dial counterclockwise, and this also demonstrates you've got a hacking movement, so it stops the seconds hand, which is at the 6 o'clock position, and then you can see the 24-hour pointer up at the 12 o'clock is rotating past the 12-hour mark, coming up to the 24-hour mark, and you should see the date jump over to 27, which it does bang on midnight, like so. Push the dial back in and the seconds hand begins to tick again, and then you can screw down the screw down crown, so that can't be knocked or caught, and obviously aids its waterproofing as well. Speaking of waterproofing, it doesn't actually make mention anywhere on the case of a waterproofing depth, so I'm not 100% sure on that side of things. The chronograph is a straightforward operation. The top button at 2 o'clock starts the chronograph, so you've got the large center seconds hand counting the seconds, and then at 9 o'clock you've got the small sub dial counting minutes up to 60 minutes, so this will count up to a full hour. To stop the chronograph, you press the same button again. To restart it, you can press it again, and you can keep doing that. If you press the reset button at 4 o'clock, it will just reset the chronograph. It doesn't do a split timing, it just resets the chronograph straight back to 0, as you can see there. So it's a straightforward standard chronograph. Press once to start it, press again to stop it, like so, and press the second button to reset the large seconds hand. So that pretty much covers the Vigilante. It's a nicely made solid watch. It's a lovely looking watch, very, very nice looking indeed. Couple of little grumbles regarding the lack of a paper user manual and this crown at 10 o'clock being a little loose. I would have liked that to have been a tighter movement for the inner bezel, and also worth mentioning there is a tachymeter scale on the inner bezel as well as the GMT scale. And I suppose the final thing to mention is you've got some nice texture on the chronograph pusher buttons and a signed crown down here with the Helgray logo, as also you have with the clasp down here. So very, very nice watch. It's a beautiful watch. It's sure to draw admiring glances. It's very noticeable, but not gaudy and in your face. It's very, very nice. I'm incredibly pleased with it. And the next thing to do is to give it a wear for a while and see how that goes. I have no doubts whatsoever that it will be good and accurate, being a Miyota quartz movement. And it's just a case now of seeing how it wears generally. But it does feel good on the wrist. It's a nice weight, it's comfortable, and all in all, I'm very pleased. What I'm going to do now is just show you on the screen the different variants available. And one other thing which I didn't mention is it's a little bit of a shame that this comes with a plain flat black dial and didn't have an option to have the same waffle style pattern dial as the Helgray Vigilante mechanical watch does, which is a beautiful dial. Unfortunately, this one only has the plain flat black dial on the quartz version. So that's a little bit of a shame, but you will see that in the following photographs. I hope you found this review useful. Thank you for watching, and we shall see you in the next video.